Okay, so let's go through another example. So maybe this one. So I have c 2b squared plus 17b plus 21. So right away I notice that a value is larger than 1, meaning when I have the expression ax squared plus bx plus c, my a value is a value larger than 1. So one thing I would check is, I'm going to check for a GCF. And is there a GCF? No. I'm going to move on to the second step. Second step is try to come up with the factors of 2 and 21. I'm going to list it underneath. I have 1 and 2. I can write it as 2 and 1, but it's not really necessary because I'm going to stick with doing that on the C, under the C values. So the factors of 21 are 1 and 21, or you can write it as 21 and 1. I have 3 and 7, and 7 and 3. The sign in front is a positive in front of the C. The sign in front of the B is also a positive, so I know I'm dealing with positive values. So I'm going to solve this using crisscross factoring. So this is one way of doing it. You're free to do it in different ways. So this is my way of preference. So what I'm doing in my head is, okay, so 1 times 21 is 21, and 2 times 1 is 2. That's not going to ever add to 17. 1 times 1 is 1. 21 times 2 is like 42. That's never going to equal 17. 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 3 is 6. So I have a 6 and a 7. 6 and a 7, that's 13. So that's not going to work either. Go to the next one. I have 1 times 3, and then 7 times 2. That's 14 and 3. So 7 times 2 plus 3 times 1 is equal to 14 plus 3, which is equal to 17. So that means these pairs work when I did the crisscross check. Meaning I have the 7 and the 2 that multiply, and the 3 and the 1 that multiply, and it adds the middle value of 17. So we're doing like a product sum, but with crisscross factoring, this is how you do it. I don't necessarily always do this rough work step, but I just want to show you what I'm thinking in my head. And so when I write it down, you need to make sure that, okay, so second step, you do the crisscross check. Third step, you want to write your factors horizontally, meaning left to right. So even though I did crisscross when I was mentally thinking about this, when I'm writing it down, I want to write it as 1 plus 7 and 2 plus 3. And then what's wrong with the way I wrote it right now? Well, I like just leaving these as coefficients so that it doesn't look so complicated, because it kind of already looks a little complicated. What I need to write here is that, well, what two numbers multiply to 2b squared? Well, it was really 1b and 2b that multiply to 2b squared, because that's how you're going to evenly break out the b squared. And so at this point, I'm just going to write this. This question, although you can't really read what the question was asking for, it was asking to factor. It was asking to factor. And so I want to stop here because I have correctly factored. And I don't want to solve for it because it didn't say to solve for it, meaning solve for the x-intercepts or anything. So I'm going to stop there. One way to double check whether you factor correctly is what? Well, you could do a check technically, and you could do FOIL on this. And when you get this back, that means you have factored it correctly.